Isn't quite what I thought I'd be when I was a kid on VOIP. I thought when I get older I'd marry her. I told her now I'm 26 and I work in an office 9 till 5's not the best, I'll be honest. If I could change a single thing to make it clear, not he's in your bed, I'm in your Twitch chat. I've got the key and he's just a doormat. Social skills, that doesn't mean I can't pay the bills anyway. Most of it, she moves on pretty bloody quick. Oh, your new boyfriend's an arsehole. In your bed and I'm in your Twitch chat. I've got the key and he's just a doormat.
There's so many different sounds. That is so loud. So many different sounds. That is so loud. Settings, please. Fuck. There we go. That's a little bit better. Ah. I said we were playing cozy. We playing cozy. Just let me send out like one thing to Discord. Discord update faster, please. Hey, who the hell is playing The Sims 4? Who the fuck changes that to Hot Pocket? Shut the fuck up, religion, I know. There. I don't care for the prime loot. Alright, cool. Ooh. Also, we're gonna put the phone in. So have you seen the shit show that's going on Twitter? The people who created C Library are fucking getting arrested.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It's oh my god. Book. Fargo. Now you see, I can in fact fuck around. Oh, where is it? Allow items anywhere. Not gonna do that. First boy. He gets first priority on bed. So many books. Hell yeah! I got an achievement from that. Hell yeah. I'm so proud of myself. Dragon. Oh, it's a poster. I don't think I've ever mentioned when I was a kid I wanted a bunk bed. I don't think I ever mentioned that. No, because I wanted it for the longest time. Parents like, why do you want a bunk bed? I was like, I want to be high. And they're like, where would you put things? I was like, I want a bunk bed so then I can like put a desk underneath like the character has it. And my parents like never let me do it. I was like, why? Like, let me buy with the bunk bed, please. Okay, I know everything's fucking invalid. Actually, can I just put, yeah, trash can goes right there. I'm gonna assume that's a schoolwork thing. Let's see how much of this I can. Let's see how much of this I can remember. Sorry, that always makes me happy. There we go. No, I'm gonna let the Crayola stuff be out. Piggy Bake Bakes Brain Go Burr. That can. Oh, that would have been a cool place to put the backpack. Actually, there we go. There we go. was like, this book looks vaguely familiar to me. These actually might be fairy tales. I know that's Dracula. Paintbrushes. I'm not gonna deny this shot. Sorry. That made my brain go so fucking burr. No, when I tell you the sound quality of this godforsaken game, I can click on an item and spend 30 minutes clicking on the bitch. I can spend 30 minutes clicking on the bitch. That's not even a joke, like the ruler actually just makes my brain shut up. Nobody needs to know that's in there. We'll leave the camera up here. I'm assuming this is some... Wait, can I put that? No, okay. I should have assumed because the fucking thing. Oh fuck, what the hell are these called? Can I put a stuffed animal on a desk by any chance? Put a duck there. Ducky gets the desk. Finally my own room. Does that mean that we like lived with a child? I don't know. 24. You in an apartment? Assuming so. Big boy. No, he lost his ribbon! Wayward has one of these. Or not Wayward. Fucking Ray has one of these. Oh. Excuse me, woman, you are a homosexual. I see the docs. I do not know a single straight person who owns a pair of docs. That's a portfolio if I've ever seen one. Toaster. I don't care, I'm putting the toaster. Oh, that's a D&D book, I think. Colored pencils. Yeah, these are just a bunch of art books. Ruler, sketchbook, more books. Messenger bag. Madam, you are fucking gay as shit. Sketchbook. T-shirt. That's a sleeper. Those can go together. Toilet paper. More books. Cool. Oh god, that's too far. Okay. We're hanging up the flannel. Alright. Give me all the underwear. Okay, madam, why are we missing a shoe? I don't care, the docs get front and center. Or in any case, the singular doc we have.
Only good things.
Mike have the look of,
I said what I said.
I'm not denying it, but she did hiss at me.
It was a lapse in judgment.
Damn, they gave us no space here. I forgot we also have a keyboard coming. Sound makes brain go burr. They also gave us no space. Can't put it back. Just hell yeah. I was like, I know there's one more pair of jeans.
Ooh.
No.
Why are you so sleepy?
I was like, there's always a one shirt I always hang up, and that's the fucking D&D shirt. Oh, I don't want him to get buried.
Ooh, bless you.
Yeah, they should have gave this girl no space to put anything. We'll start the line of toilet paper now. 'Cause I know this is a school book.
Let's see who stops sneezing. But I don't want it to. Why can't I put it there? I don't understand.
Soap.
Why do you make me say the comments? Why do you make me so much?
Go. It's deodorant, perfume, brush, first aid kit, another bra. Oh my god. Toilet paper. Toilet paper. Big boy. Understandable. Trash can. Why is there a frying pan? Good madam, why is there a frying pan?
Cool, I'm done.
Cool, I'm reorganizing what I just did. I will make it fit. All the bras are going into one drawer. There we go. There we go. Yes, and then we have the nerd going on Genshin.
How dare you?
You're going to see your boy. I'm allowed to bully you for go seeing him.
Apparently the Traveler's a big meanie head in the update to him. Which is a little funky to me. But I did see that Yoingia defends him, and that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Switch to HDMI 1. Why can't there be a button? I don't
Because
understand.
the world is a cruel, cruel fucking place. There we go.
It still didn't register yet. It's still going. Wee. Can you stay? Can you stay on my lap? Can you do that for me?
Sound makes brain go burr. Also, who the fucked like 50 of my tweets today? I know who the fuck you were. Why? I was just vibing.
My dad found me on TikTok. I'm sad.
Get rid of your account, burn it.
No, I'm gonna make a funny, inappropriate joke now on it to scare him off. Because there's an audio I wanted to use, but I haven't had the time to make it. But break is coming, so.
Free range. Oh, hey, I found the keyboard. There's not enough space on the godforsaken desk. I'm telling you, they gave our girl no space. She... Oh my god, she's left-handed.
My mom is.
Well, I mean, I know you can, like, choose it, but, like, it makes sense. Yeah. I'm ambidextrous. I just use my right hand more. Knife.
I think I have a criminal as a roommate. What do you think about this information?
What the fuck? You already hissed at me once today. Go ahead, try me, bitch. You act like you can hurt me. Really? Oh, I forgot I put the toast in the bathtub.
What?
You could. Funny enough, it gives you an achievement. The first time I played, so I got it. So now it's become an inside joke that the fucking toaster must always go.
I wish I had a sweatshirt here. It's freaking freezing. I'm gonna freeze to death.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Ah! That's so cruel. What did I ever do to you? What did I ever do to you?
You called me nothing.
Yeah,
You wanna-
exactly. I didn't call you anything.
You called me out for having mommy issues. I know it.
Wow.
I know I do the same shit to you, so I don't have anything to go off of. Shush.
Oh, this is the one bad thing about getting a shower. It makes me freaking cold.
I love how there's like a single tray for the big knife.
I'm gonna see my boy.
Once again, down bad.
Oh, I have to get up to get my headphones.
Chat, look at this shit. She's down bad.
Only for him. I need to warm up. My cat is not assisting me. That's dirty. She would rather me freeze to death. See, now it instantly gets loud.
It really just did not like them.
It did not. Or it's the opposite. It did, and it hates me. See, I could do my commissions today, but there's something more important.
Cozy game, cozy game, cozy game. Hi, Seal. How you doing? Welcome to the stream. We're playing cozy game. Why? Because cozy game. You get to do your boat. I get to play cozy lesbians.
I wasn't judging you. I don't think there's room for judgment right now.
Oh yeah, cause you down bad. How you been? I haven't seen you in a while. How life treating you?
I think I deserve to be excited. It's been over a year. I deserve to be excited over seeing my boy.
Right in the cookie jar. The fuck? It gave me an achievement. I can change the colors? That hurts my eyes. Oh my god. Mental health is a bitch, but it's okay. That's completely and utterly fair. This is new! Suddenly. Oh my god, that's adorable. Again, game, you gave this woman no space to put any of her shit. There we go. I don't know who's in the background, but they sound short.
Huh? Excuse me? I'm scared of short people. I'm always scared I'm gonna trip over them because they're so short.
That's my roommate.
I'll have you know, I am 5'8" and a quarter. Thank you very much.
You're still short in their eyes.
No, I'm not.
No, in their eyes, you are still short.
I'm above average. I'll have you know.
Go on ahead. I'm waiting for the "you're short" comment.
Huh?
Seal is my mod, and they bully everyone for being short, except for I think for V. I think it's V, Atlas, and Jay they can't make fun of because they're tall.
I'm not even short. I get called out for being tall all the time.
There's nowhere else to put them. Oh, there we go. Fuck you! Really?
The only person who can call me short is my brother.
Yeah, because your brother's fucking tall.
He is. He's nicknamed Slenderman for a reason. Oh.
I don't care, gay. You piss me off. You don't get the cutting board in the drawer. There we go. Oh god, I wish I could donate my height to y'all.
Wow.
I told you.
Wow. I feel betrayed, if I'm being honest.
Join the club.
I'm taller than you.
A lot of people are taller than me. Half my friend group is taller than me.
Animo. Oh, I don't use characters with Animo.
You have a Hazo.
I know, but I don't use him. He's still level 1.
I have to cook for myself. Oh no. Let's see what all these say. Private bathroom, score, and then what does the bedroom say? We're almost to the D&D part. You go by any pronouns, right?
Yeah.
They go by any pronouns. Start class Monday, uni, here I come. Okay, so we are in university. They go by any pronouns. I love getting to this particular place, because I love that you can 100% tell they go to a fucking art school. No. Because what screams more art school than a sewing machine and a mannequin in the living room? That is some art school shit, if I've ever seen some art school shit.
We'll find a good place to take this picture. I want to move down. Can I not move down?
Oh my god, she has business cards. Oh my god, we have a better computer. Let's go. Okay, thank you. Why does every short person we know use they?
That works.
Why does every short person I know use any pronouns?
Excuse me?
You and Wayward both use any pronouns, and you both are short.
I won't stand for the slander. That's what it is. It's slander. You're spreading a false image of me.
You are 5'8". Seal is 6 something. Look at them for this bullshit of this.
I'm taller than average.
I wish I could identify Archie. I'm over here being an IT bitch. You see, The art students have tattoos, piercing, and dyed hair. That is how you can find most art students.
Alright, I can do that one.
Also, you can find us by the fucking Doc Martens and flannels. Get your ass back in there.
I learned of a disgusting truth about my kind today in my history class.
Oh.
I think it was California. There was a war against rats. How dare
Yeah.
they?
In fact, I know what you're talking about.
Disgusting.
Yeah, my roommate's also going to be a streamer, so that's why they say my kind when it comes to rats. D&D. D&D shirt. D&D she gets privilege of being hanged. Where's the flannel? Wait, can I? Damn it.
Dude, I don't know.
Once again, they gave I look like a tree. Wish I could dye my hair, but it's way too fucking curly. I look like a tree. You can dye curly hair, you just have to do it, you just have to do it when it's like right after you like wet it. Oh my god, part of the poster is gone. Another hanger. The flannel makes its return. Yoga mat. There we go. Tell me, think about it while I did. What do you want, Chirpy?
What time is it?
7:39.
You're incorrect. In fact, you have to wait a half hour later than normal. Yep. Sorry, it's the truth. It's just the way it is. I'm just the messenger.
You are the messenger and executioner. I don't want to hear shit about my height to be able to insult people with short hair. You see, you don't want straight hair. This shit's fucking annoying to deal with.
Yeah, curly hair would be cool.
I think if I didn't fuck up my hair as much as I did, my hair would probably be texturized to some degree.
My hair's a little curly, but it's harder to tell when it's shorter.
Yeah, I'm the same way. But if you like feel it, you can definitely feel like, oh yeah, there's texture here. But you see, how would you be able to bully us if you got rid of some of your height?
Oh my god!
Yes.
It's him! He's here! I wasn't expecting them to just have him there, just chilling. They didn't warn me or anything.
Down bad. Yeah, you see this shit, chat?
It's my boy.
Chat, you see, this is what we call down bad. You're big guy, I got catch him also like every tweet and my mom's half asleep. Yeah, why the fuck did you spam like my Twitter? I was just vibing and all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, this was liked. I'm like, okay, cool. Someone's liking my tweet. Nah, I will come to you liking 50 plus fucking tweets.
Oh, he's so awesome. I love him so much.
I go for every few months I just nuke your Twitter with spam likes. That's fair. You do that. Yeah, I was just like, yeah, let me check my Twitter. Spam. I'm gonna make this person's life a living hell. What stickers do I have to get from here?
Haha, I cheated it! Oh my god, I cheated it. That's awesome. Cause did you see the requirements?
No, I didn't, bestie. I'm kind of
The
blind.
character, the weapon has to be a bow, and you have to be using a charged attack.
Ah,
I switched into his melee and used a charged attack, and it still counted.
this is what we call. So how was the time I was gone? I was also gone for a very long, extended period of time. Because, life said go fuck yourself, mate. But also, I was in college. Help, we all want to die, midterms, or not midterms, finals are here, we're all mentally dead inside, and we all want to cry. That's what happened. I don't think a single art student here is mentally okay. Considering going back to college. Don't. College is a fucking is a scam. And I will die on this fucking hill. When I tell you none of us are having a good time here, none of us are having a good time here.
I mean,
I don't want to hear shit from you, animation.
alright, okay.
But I want to finish my bachelor's. Then go finish your bachelor's! I'm just saying, college is a fucking scam! But also, there was just a bunch of unnecessary, like, stupid drama I was involved in. Oh my god, I can stack these in here? Nice. Actually, I might have to move that because I'm pretty sure there's a thing. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna move the. Actually, we're gonna do this. Thinking of the end of summer, I'm just gonna vanish from the internet and grind college like a Dead by Daylight. Hey, go for it. I'm not gonna stop you. But yeah, college is kind of a scam, gonna be honest. Especially financial aid. Oh, financial aid is a bitch. Okay, cool. I can't put this there. Put this poor person's alarm clock. Can I move the blinds? That would have been cool. Just throw the alarm clock in the closet. Yes! The D&D bitches! The D&D bitches! That is a character creation sheet and some dice I've ever seen that shit. That's a dice tower. I'll read for 10 minutes just to nuke your Twitter. Imagine V comes back when you leave for college. Actually, wait. No, let me put him with his friends, you bitch! Oh yeah, here are the D&D books.
So there's not much right now. I just finished everything that's out right now. Yeah. But I still got to see him.
The chickens are back. Is that a weed?
I'm so not used to people calling him Tartaglia.
Oh my god, I think we're actually the dungeon master. Someone's a cosplayer. They have a wig here. My D&D group collapsed. No! What happened? I'm kind of disappointed that did not give me an achievement, but it's fine. Because I'm assuming these are issues to these are D&D books. I'm trying to put the books in there. Two of my players had a dispute over private matters because the two of them and then two others were dating, broke up, and never wanted to see each other again for other private reasons. Understandable! Don't even gotta finish that. Fuck. Oh my god, she has another shirt. Controller. Pot goes in kitchen. So instead I'm thinking of 20 different gift hints today with no current way to use them. Fuck! I almost killed the fly.
What?
See, I'm not gonna be any help.
Fell over. That's what that was.
She's a very chunky girl. News on Loaf. Loaf is good. My parents keep letting him go outside for whatever fucking reason. I don't know why. They just do. He's not supposed to go outside. He's not an outside cat. Which every time I hear they let him go outside, a little part of me dies inside. How could they? My parents explained to me in the sense that he escaped like through the outside, but I'm just like he's never ever wanted to explore the great outdoor woods, so I do not believe you for shit. Damn. We'll find a place for it. But Gucci's just a fucking crackhead. Gucci just keeps doing Gucci stuff. Making ramen right now. I've made ramen too often. But also, I'm a tired college student, so that makes... We kept the cookie jar, but that makes complete knife. Because our school is stupid and they decide to make ramen the same day as fucking pizza night. Or pizza. Which pisses me off to no end. Like, dude, I would appreciate, like, not having, like, because every day, because we know when we have pizza. So it's just like, how are you gonna have ramen, a food that you barely ever serve, on the same day? Alright, which area has shit? Oh my god. Oh, you're lying to me. Referral goes in there. There we go. What? Can't go. You whore. There we go, fine.
I'm gonna download Disney Plus on PlayStation so I can watch it with headphones on.
What are you gonna watch?
I gotta watch Snow White again so I can write notes on it for the video. It's the reason I haven't started the channel sooner, because this movie is boring.
Fair. Completely fair. Our roommates are just gonna have one extra knife. I don't trust myself to use the oven. Really? Oh, fuck you, game. Cozy game.
What?
Here's your sponge and first aid kit. Funny enough, I like how we only brought one plate. Cookie jar can go there. Director color can go in there. It has confidence to fight God, but I run and cry to my microwave whenever I want to make something that requires an oven. Valid. Completely valid. Damn, that's like too valid. Oh. There we go. Way bigger than my last kitchen. I felt to blow for Hot Pocket. Please send me food ideas. The cat food is shit. Oh. Ew. It's this dick. It's this douche. I'm allowed to call the motherfucker that will not let me move anything in his... No. Come look at this motherfucker's closet. Come, look at this motherfucker's closet. He got 1, 2, 3, 4 drawers. These 2 drawers are just scattered. He's an asshole. He makes us put our diploma in the fucking underneath the bed. Fuck him. Oh god, the douchebag. Glad we remember him. Sadly. Girl, you deserve so much better. This just goes out to people in general. Do not let people do this to you. No, you don't even get the top shelf. You get the 2 bottom shelves. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you, I'm stealing your boxers. You don't even get the luxury of all 3 of like 2 shelves. You get 1 shelf on the bottom. There, you worthless piece of shit. It's also the fact, like, when you look at this, like, there's no place for her to be an artist. Remember when you said you wanted someone to save your ass? You forgot someone like this. This is still very much a thing. If I ever get into this situation, please save me. That is still a very much a true statement. I hate this man and everything this fucker lives for. Like, again, this is a one bedroom, one bath place. But I don't understand, like, how you could not make, like, any room for her. Like, I just don't understand it. Did I just reduce like this? Ooh, I haven't mentioned this, but I actually might be moving.
Spooky.
Which will not be ideal, and I'm not saying where.
Lisa will feel betrayed.
Okay, if my parents move, if I, like, move, I'm still gonna come here. That's not just gonna be like a, oh, Ren's moving, they're not gonna come back to college. I'm still gonna come back to college. I'm just gonna be, like, deeply, like,
Upset.
yeah. It's too... Yeah, exactly. This is actually a cute shirt. Where's the D&D shirt? Oh no, we still have our shitty-ass job. Sadly. We gotta fit under the bed, sadly.
Ew.
this is the one time I've actually not put anything on, like, her clothes on the floor. And my mouse just ran over my,
What?
No, she doesn't have the docs anymore! Why are you in the closet? My love! I didn't mean to do that. Oh yeah, no, that is a genuine thing. If I ever end up in a shitty ass relationship like this, please come save me. I don't care. You don't get the privilege anymore. You don't get closet privilege. Fuck your suit. You're an asshole. You can go fuck yourself. Your artistic girlfriend gets this shit.
What?
She gets hanger privileges now.
Don't do that to me. I hate when she does that. It's too cute.
What did she do?
She bumped her head against my hand to get me to pet her.
Oh. But we do have a cat. We have a Skrunkly. Hot bike is more than I probably will ever love a human being. Do you want to know what Jay said to us in a conversation? Because I'm Ace, and he just still hasn't found someone. Ray is the only one who's gotten someone, which again itself is an amazement. But we were just talking, and Ray just casually goes to him, "Oh, when do you think you'll find someone?" And I have to pull up this quote because this quote is the most.
Right.
This quote is the most J-ass quote. I've not talked about this. I've talked about this man on the stream, but he now just has an alias. But this fucking quote, man. I prefer to fuck someone who meets my standards if I die a virgin because of it. So be it. That is the most J-ass conversation, thing I've ever heard for him. And when I tell you, my ass busted the fuck out laughing. My ass busted the fuck out laughing. Because I was not expecting him to say that shit. Ah, yes, the dice. Wait. Oh, it did it. Hot Pockets beat out all of the one relationship I've been in. You can't see their face, but my roommate made a face. Cause my roommate also is obsessed with Hot Pockets.
I love Hot Pockets.
It's because they're good at shit food when your school cafeteria is going to shit.
I'm about to steal the flat soda that you left in the freezer.
Go on ahead.
I'm serious. I'm thirsty, and I like flat soda. But if you like it, then I won't take it.
Take it. I don't like flat soda. I honestly forgot I had it. So, be my guest.
Heck yeah. You're a disgrace. Not you.
I was like, God damn, what did I do?
Oh, her. She's begging. She's begging.
I respect your roommate, even though you're short as fuck. You've gained the seal's respect. You've gained the mod's respect. Cause fun fact, my roommate is also a soon-to-be streamer, which I think is entertaining. Who the fuck is blowing up Twitter? No!
Uh-oh.
Why is the first thing I open is fucking grooming?
You don't want this.
Yo, your friend is about to steal your mods like you stole V's. I stole V's and virtually Nyx's mods. I stole Soulja. I stole Soulja and fucking everyone. Nyx, I love you, but please come back. I miss you, bestie. No, when she tweeted that she might come back to streaming, when I tell you I fucking lost it, I'm like, yes, the queen returns. The comfort queen returns. Also, my birthday's coming up. I'm about to become fucking I can't get over how old I'm about to turn.
I need to figure out when I need to order your gift.
If you want my high opinion, do it now because people are gonna be ordering
I'll
stuff for
do it
Christmas.
when I fix my card.
Yeah, because people are gonna start Christmas shopping soon.
Yeah.
So if you want my recommendation, do it
Your
before.
first day is too close.
I know it is, and I hate it.
Do you ever have to deal with the merging?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
I hate
There was. I'm pretty sure it was 2017. It was right after the Las Vegas shooting that happened, like the really big
Whoa.
one. I was there a month later in December. I was in December, and I was there for that, and I literally got no birthday gifts, but I got all Christmas gifts.
That's cool too.
Oh yeah, no, I hated it. Like I fucking despised it.
I guess that's the one good thing about in August.
Close this fucking godforsaken drawer. Sorry, the drawer was bothering me. Can I still? I can't steal
I always
his.
get the worst stuff. You know, like the birthday thing where it's like, oh, your birthday, you get like this certain day. Like those posts. August always gets the worst ones. It's always August.
I surprisingly have never gotten one of those. Look, the boyfriend's a dick. He gets only the shelves. That's it. I can't hang up the dress, which is actually really sad. This is a really pretty dress. No, let me hang up the dress, please. Can I just, like, yoink a hanger?
She is begging for you.
You cannot have them. You are lactose intolerant. You were yoinking his alarm clock.
Her adoptive mother is obsessed with ice cream.
What is this book? Oh, what the fuck is this book? Interesting, interesting. Fucking, we steal the alarm clock. He doesn't get nice things. He doesn't get closet space. He doesn't get shit from us. We steal the alarm clock. The D&D books have returned. I was not kidding. He gets no clock skate and he gets no alarm clock. Fuck him. He gets nothing. Chicken! Cause he ain't worth our time. Amen. Fuck men. Why do you need 1, 2, 3 things for fucking coffee? Oh, he's also a white man. Makes sense. No, I think he's...
I am about to steal that soda.
Take it. Fuck, you can have it.
I'm just warning you. The Santa Clauses.
Ew. That's disgusting. Guys are absolute idiots. Yeah?
Is the Polar Express on Netflix?
I hope it is.
I hope so, because I'm definitely watching that.
I'm joining you.
I love that movie.
It's one of the best Christmas movies.
I don't care how bad the CGI is. It was groundbreaking for its time.
Yes! Amen!
It looks like tea, doesn't it?
Yeah. Motherfucker, I'm about to steal your glassware.
Ugh. You can't have this either.
Motherfucker.
That's what she said. It is tea. It's iced tea.
Is it fucking really?
It is.
Did they give me an iced tea?
They gave you an iced tea. Oh, unhealthy drink. How good.
Getting flashbacks. Is that actually
It
iced
is.
tea?
It's iced tea.
So they gave me a soda and an iced tea. I will look back. I did not order an iced tea in this order.
Yeah, this is 100% iced tea. I would know what Coke tastes like.
So would I.
It is definitely. Do you want a sip?
No, I don't like iced tea.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest fan, but I'll drink it. I'm not gonna let it go to waste.
No, I'm fucking looking back at my orders. Yeah, they gave me an iced tea for free.
I'm in shock.
Yeah, I was like, I got a double cord chowder cheese deluxe meal. I got a large French fries and a Coke, and I got everything else I don't know includes. I did not order an iced tea. They gave me an iced tea for free. Thank you. There's a random ass McDonald's that decided to give me an iced tea for free.
It's a good thing you didn't drink it when you did.
I would have been heartbroken.
You would have been. Wow. When you showed it to me, it looked like soda too.
Yeah, I was like, oh, they might have just given me 2 sodas.
No.
Wow. We have learned something, chat. We've learned that the thing that we thought was something else was in fact not.
This is like, what is this, a medium?
That's a large.
This is a large?
That is a large.
Wow, McDonald's larges are so weird.
Honestly. No, America larges are fucking insane.
That's true.
You go anywhere else.
Their larges are like, yeah, I'm actually kind of happy that this is a large. This is what I would prefer to be a large.
Oh, he got the fuck. Yo, free shit. Honestly, he got the motherfucker. He got the nice. Why do you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's protein powder. Why do you need 5 things for coffee?
So this is something interesting. So on Disney Plus, Zootopia is called Zootropolis, right?
Yeah.
But they made this new series called Zootopia Plus. And on Disney Plus, it's still Zootopia Plus. So I have Zootropolis and Zootopia Plus right next to each other right now.
Oof.
How do you do that?
I'm gonna be honest. The Zootopia Plus is actually really interesting to watch.
I keep
Oh my
getting
God.
recommendations for it. I think the coolest thing is the Mr. Big.
Oh yeah, the daughter. It's-
Not the daughter, his backstory.
Oh yeah.
I like that. The daughter stuff is cool though too. I like that trashy stuff.
There we go. Can I casually just put the knife under my pillow to shake this man in his sleep? Should I first have kids who stand at night? Still can't get over that's fucking iced tea. I can't.
I know. I think we should.
Ooh! Upgrades, people, upgrades!
I'm about to check to see if Robots is on the Disney Plus. I will be mad until they add it. How do you have 5 Ice Age movies on here, but not Robots? Are you telling me the 5th Ice Age movie is more important than Robots?
I will never understand how that series lasts. How that series lasts as long as it did. Fuck your protein powder, bitch. Fuck your fucking addiction to coffee.
They don't. I was using the remote, forgetting that I'm using the PlayStation for this.
Oh, why do they have such a nice sound? I should not like the sound it makes.
Robots, please.
What did I not unpack? Oh, like half the shit. Oh, we didn't do the bathroom.
They still don't have it.
There's a D&D shirt.
How do they still not have it? Oh, Disenchanted is out apparently. I don't really want to watch that.
Okay, I've heard mixed things about it.
Exactly.
Is that all one?
There's
I
so many.
saved them.
Oh,
When
sorry.
they huge cancer turns out it gives you the dirty fucking lie.
There are so many sequels I refuse to watch because I'm happy with how the first one ended.
Valid.
Like, Tangled is one of my favorite movies of all time, but I refuse to watch the TV show.
The TV show is good!
I don't care. I don't care. I'll enjoy the music from afar. Oh, you know what I'm seeing on Sunday? Wakanda Forever.
I've gotten spoiled for me already.
No!
Mhm.
Don't spoil it for me.
I'm not going to.
I've heard that it's good, so I'm happy.
Oh no, it's fucking amazing.
Yes.
I will say this, like the representation that they did indigenous people is
Yeah.
chef's kiss. I've heard. And from what I've seen,
Have you seen the Elementals trailer yet?
the fucking what?
The new Pixar movie.
Oh, I've not.
It looks interesting. Looks like they're trying something
I just ate
different.
4 whole blocks of ramen.
That's not healthy.
I know it's not. But also, depressed college students. Well, why can't I not put the knife on the cutting board? That just does not make sense in my eyes right now.
I'm really liking the character designs in this.
This knife is actually giving me trouble.
That was cute. I got the one funniest one over that one. Let this movie be good, please. Pixar, you're kind of on a roll right now.
With good or bad movies.
Good. I heard Soul was pretty good. I still have yet to watch it.
Soul was actually pretty good. Again, of course you're gonna have the complaint of just like turning black people into just like inanimate things, but
Yeah, but I heard that wasn't that big in part of the movie that people thought it was going to be.
yeah.
I'm not excited for the freaking Inside Out sequel.
Anyways, I'm gonna go dive for the next 2 months. Bye. Bye.
Oh no.
It's a joke. They're gonna be fine. This knife is actually giving me fucking trouble.
Oh wait, they're on a little bit of it. But the not Inside Out. Turning Red was awesome.
Oh, Turning Red was fucking amazing.
But they also made Lightyear, which I heard was very good.
I did not see it, so I don't know, frankly.
Luca was good.
Luca was amazing.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's good.
The betrayal I feel right now.
Sorry. Oh, well, Elementals is coming up before Inside Out 2. Alright, that's cool. That makes sense. I feel kind of stupid for just realizing it now.
What the fuck was Inside Out? The Was it the ones with the emotions in the head?
yeah.
I didn't like that movie.
You what?
I didn't like that movie.
Why?
It was just one of those movies
Okay.
that I was like, I couldn't fully get into. Like, I like the message and all.
Okay, that's all I needed. That's all I needed.
I was just not a big fan of it.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I don't know how high, because at the end of all of the videos for the Disney reviewing, at the very end, I'm going to have a little tier list. I want to purposely use a bad mic for it, too.
Don't use a bad mic. Don't use a bad mic.
A little purposefully, for a little bit of humor.
Oh, for the just like the tier list?
Yeah, just the tier list part.
You can fuck up your mic audio just by doing like having your video play in the background get like an echo effect.
I kind of want it to, like the Xbox mic vibe? That's what I want it to be for the tier list part.
At best, yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I somehow made all my mic quality good. Fuck your pants. Fuck your life, Bing Bong.
I like how people said Fireboy and Water Girl had a good transition with this movie. I love it so much. Trans icons. Yeah, I really like the character designs for this movie. I'm hoping it's good. It looks like it's a love story, and I'm a sucker for those. So.
Chat, you seeing this shit?
That's right, I'm watching Snow White.
I can understand why it's like the most like boring Disney movie.
It's not the most boring. I'm purposefully skipping Fantasia because I can't stand to watch that movie again.
But I can understand why it's like one of like the least most liked
Yes.
because it was they were just starting, man.
It was the first animated movie in very large quotation marks. And then I get to watch Pinocchio again, which I'm happy about because I actually do like that movie. That donkey scene literally made my jaw drop.
Donkey skiing scared me as a child.
I have like almost no memory of watching that as a child. I know I watched it. I think it was one of the VHS movies I had, but I don't have any memories of it.
Again, this poor bitch. This-
Time to pull up my notes on my phone.
This poor girl. Living with a shitty ass motherfucker who can't even bother to make space for her.
I keep forgetting I'm listening to this with my headphones in. I was like, why can't I not hear anything? No.
Like, when I tell you there's actively no space for her to do anything, there's actively no space.
This is a very short movie.
What?
With credits, it's an hour and a half.
Jesus. Which is not bad, but for like for the time, that's not bad.
Yeah, for the time it's not bad, but like to today's standards, that's kind of crazy.
I was about to think, if the knife's just in a random position still. Yep.
Oh, this is bull crap. You're a liar, Disney. You're a liar. I'm writing that down.
What?
He writes, my sincere appreciation to the members of my staff whose loyalty and creative endeavor made this possible production. You suck. You're horrible.
Who said that?
Walt Disney himself. He wrote that. And then
Walt Disney can suck a dick.
right after this movie, there was a protest from the animators because he promised everyone bonuses if the movie did well and never handed them out.
Again, Walt Disney can suck a dick.
He can. You want to know a fun fact I learned about him? From my teacher, my history teacher? So, this man, apparently, would lock himself in his office and watch videos of animals mating.
I'm not surprised. I am genuinely not fucking surprised.
Walt Disney can suck it.
Oh, he can suck a dick. Walt Disney can genuinely just suck a dick.
I'm writing notes down my notes. Alright, probably should do timestamps for my notes.
Yeah. Again, this man literally left no space for her. I hate men. I hate them. And I'm saying that with my full fucking chest. Fuck men! This is not how you treat a woman. So to any of the males who are watching me, if you ever end up getting with a woman, don't do what this man is doing, because we will hate you for the rest of our fucking life. know those are all of her school books, so I'm gonna put them in, if I can put them, nope, fuck. Can I take one of these dumbbells and just smash it over his head? Hypothetically speaking. I'll use the bathroom first and then I'll deal with the fucking... Fuck you and your electric toothbrush ass motherfucking loving bitch.
I like how I already have a note 25 seconds in.
That's one way to go.
Also, I'm not. I thought that said Ben Shapiro for a second. I was like, that's not possible. Another thing about this movie that's pretty cringe, but par for the course for the time. I'm not saying that as an excuse in this situation, but the voice actor for Snow White was not allowed. They did not credit her.
Oh yeah, no.
But she also was not allowed to work on any other films because they didn't want to ruin the magic.
Oh, yeah.
That's
That I knew.
bullcrap.
Because again,
Stupid.
I'm very, I like being weird when it comes to voice actors, so I love looking at like a fucked up history of lore. So that was just one of the things I found out, and I went, oh, fuck him. Is there any space in space in the bedroom left? I can put some books under there, so I might. Oh, you son of a bitch.
There's only 2 character designers. That name feels familiar.
What name?
Joe Grant.
Pretty sure he worked on with a bunch of other Disney stuff.
Yeah, I think he did. That's just like a name that I know I've seen before. A lot of art directors.
That's no surprise.
Oh my gosh, I was like, these credits are quite short, and then it goes to animators, and the screen is just full.
Gotta respect the animators.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't see Disney listed for any of these credits.
I think it's hilarious that like when you like look through certain things, like there'll be times you're just like, huh, I don't like see them, and then you'll be like, oh, that's why I don't see them. Fuck your glasses, man. Again, I keep talking about this motherfucker, but he's an asshole.
Is this that game you were talking about yesterday?
The unpacking game that's super fucking cozy? Yes.
Mm-hmm. I think it's funny that this scene reminds me of Shrek, but the Shrek movie was probably parodying this scene. Oh, it is time. You're right.
It's 30 minutes.
No, I meant to do it at 8:30. Because when I have no classes, that's the ideal time so I can get more time to sleep. Oh yeah?
I know, my love. I don't want to be doing this to you, but fuck this guy and everything he stands for.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, he made sure there was no room.
I don't know if you're gonna get this, but you know what that kind of reminds me of? Gilmore Girls.
Fuck off.
My mom watches it like religiously. I like the show because I like every character except the main characters.
That's fair.
Hey. Thank you. I know. Stop yelling at me. That's not nice. impolite when it comes to this time of day. I will throw these out tomorrow. I swear. Ugh. I don't even want to count how many are up there.
Oh, thank God I did it. I did it. I fucking did it. Fuck this man. Fuck him. Feels so seriously moving into his place. Fuck him. He doesn't deserve you. 2012. We moved out. We moved back home, motherfuckers. Can you hand me a water?
Yeah.
Since you're like right there. I'm
Oh my
sorry.
gosh. Hold up. My favorite Pisces kicking in. Oh. Ugh. Oh my gosh. I know. It's
Chirping.
not my fault.
Oh, and it's cold. Thank you.
Yeah. I restocked it when I came back, really.
Hell yeah.
I can't tell what your favorite treats are. You seem to like all of them.
Wait. There we go. I was like, I figured out you can actually turn on the lava lamp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, funny enough, it actually takes a while in game for it to, yeah, it's heating up.
She's fast forwarding, you little sucker.
Yes, the cat is a menace.
Oh my god, freaking fly flew on my face. I hate it. After I give her treats, I'll be right back. I gotta pee.
No, funny, because so do I. I have to fucking pee, but you're good.
Sorry.
No, you're good. Can we actually hang? We can hang up our diploma! Ah! We're allowed to feel proud of ourselves.
My teacher finally saw me playing Pokemon in class today.
What was the reaction?
He was like, oh, which one is that one? But apparently he never played it, which is a shame because it's the best one.
Oh my gosh, you stole this from him. Chickens! I finally learned where that goes. My gosh, she stole the Tamagotchi! Yeah, so you can see the lava lamp going. Okay. So let's put that under there. I still love how we found out these are D&D books so fucking quickly. Hey! Stop! I will hurt you. That is a joke shot. I'm not gonna hurt the cat. Can you stop, dude?
told you this before. She literally, her diabetes will get worse if I'm gone for more than a week.
Mhm.
Actually, for as long as a week. She can't handle it. Come here, baby. The tea taste is stuck in my mouth.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Actually, should I be drinking this?
Yeah.
Like, is it bad?
You're okay. You'll be fine.
I guess it. Can I see McDonald's?
No. Sadly.
Boo.
Sadly.
No, I didn't do that.
Yeah, I love how. Okay. There's so many like neat little things here. I love this game. There we go. That's just to drive me not super crazy. I made her desk so messy, but also just like, yeah, she's fresh. She's fresh from like going out of her boyfriend's house. Her room's allowed to be messy. I'm gonna go pee. Because I need to go pee. Bladder hurts.
Uh-oh.
Not my bladder, it's just I've been holding this in for a while and you mentioned it in my life. She's like, pee?
She getting into stuff she shouldn't be.
Yep.
Bean! I'll say your full name, I'll do it.
Khaleesi.
Khaleesi Bean. Get over here.
beautiful kitty. No. Surprise hug. Fuck you. I have a turn.
Oh, the rotoscoping.
Ooh. The sound they make is so nice. Oh wow, they were not kidding. Like, the sound actually gets quieter when you, like, go into different rooms. Oh my god, I kept putting that fucking cup in the wrong place. Cause I'm a fucking idiot. I was like, wow, he's giving us no place to put, like, our stuff. We have one. You were just very much where? What? There you go, she doesn't see the asshole. No! No, he's super fucking deflated! No, my ducky! My boy! Who hurt you? Okay, so I was right. We do have a sister. Or we have a, like, sibling. I just didn't know if it was a sister or not. Oh, here we are. So now I'm pretty sure we're, like, in our own place, if I remember correctly, so let me just, oh my, we got a Wii! Were you one of those people who had a Wii, or you had a father?
Huh?
Are you one of those people that had a Wii in your house, or did you have a father?
Ooh.
Hell yeah, it's called the Witch Sport. I love that. Does that mean I can turn on the other gaming system? Oh, wait, can I put this on the... Oh, that would have been cool if I could put that on the door. The ukulele's back. Wait, actually, there it goes. Yes, you got a therapist. Hell yeah! Therapy's good! How's it going? How's therapy going? We're playing cozy game. Yes, the D&D books. Look, I'm gonna tell you this. Any person who says therapy is bad, they're fucking idiots. A lot of tears and tissues, but it was nice. Yes, you are allowed to cry in therapy. I don't understand why there's this huge fucking stigma. Like, oh yeah, you're not allowed to like go to therapy, and it's like, what? Or you're not allowed to be like emotional during therapy. Damn. Yeah, I'm happy. Oh, awesome, we have a ukulele stand, finally. Alright, there we go. Do you know the reeling feelings is? Yes. I'm sorry, you're talking to the one person who went through like the most emotional like trauma of their life. Not emotional trauma. Like physically exhausting trauma of their life. Like in the past like month. That shit sucked. Angry bird looking ass. It really a fat bird, angry bird. Oh my god. Yeah, no, I literally had my entire friend group, I like distanced myself from my entire friend group, and then I was like, as I was distancing, someone said, yeah, they never considered you part of the group, and I was like, yep, thanks for telling me. You are a scrawny ass motherfucker. They will beat your ass in 5 seconds.
I've been working now.
So have they. They will still beat your ass. No offense. Damn, they will beat the living shit out of you. That, I'm not saying that for your, like, the sake of just like, oh, they'll do it. No. You will lose a life. And I frankly do not want the school kind of being like, so what happened? Well, you see, good sir, she got into a fight. That's not happening. Yeah, that was a fun ass experience, and then I was just like, yeah, it's time for me to like distance myself so I don't get angry at them and like lose my shit. I found out trends. Spider-Man. Yeah. Especially if you look at art, like the trends are so fun to look at. The toilet paper returns. No, why do you have a scale? No! You don't need this. Question how humanity has made it. I started questioning it after I found out people were eating Tide Pods. That's when I started questioning my own humanity. We are dumb. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's like some actual trends throughout the world or like throughout history that I look at. I'm just like, why did we do this? What enticed us to do this shit? What part of our human mind said, yes, let's do this? Loofah. I'll leave it out for now. We're dumb. Very. Yep. So, I don't think I mentioned this, but speaking of, I take an anthropology class because it is required for my college, for me to graduate. But I like it. Now I can see slut. Wait, we're permanent, the perm slut. No, but it's just so, like, it's so funny. Like, I'll just be, like, in this class, and we'll be talking, and my teacher will mention, like, some out-of-pocket shit, and my brain will just go, we did that? All the coffee shit, or this, but all of this shit's going on top of the fridge. We're not living that trauma from the asshole that he gave us. Oh yeah, I forgot we got an office. Okay, this is a nice-ass bedroom. Bathroom's done. It tells weird and brutal facts in detail. She hasn't done that yet. Oh, actually, I sadly don't have any more classes with her. Or like in-depth classes, because all my lectures are done. I saw the hand move. Did you remember to slowly cut down? Yeah. Surprisingly, I did. Wait, can I put a candle on top? No! Ignore my roommate.
This is why you can't depend on rotoscoping, because then stuff like this happens! What are you thinking? His face is a mush.
If you're wondering what my roommate is talking about, they are an animation major. Who I became friends with over the mutual agreement of Genshin. I still never get over that we became literally friends over Genshin.
I would say we started to become friends because of Heather. That
Yeah.
pair up. That chance pair up.
Yeah, no. And then we just became closer friends after that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad she's coming back. Heather! missed you!
I know.
Heather! Where's the D&D shirt? Have you played Slang Ranch? No. That's one of those games I'm not interested in. Like, I know other people I'm friends with or close with play it, but it's just not one of those games I'm just like, yeah, I always wanted to play this. Bro, I still need to play Stray. I need to actually fucking get that game. That is now like my one fucking goal in my life is to actually get that game and play it. Because I have not watched any Let's Play. It's Q Flat Times. I know it is. I know it is. Like, I have not seen a single, like, gameplay of Stray, because I was like, I want to get this for myself. I still have not got it. Like, again, I've somehow avoided spoilers. So now I'm just like, I actually need to, like, convince myself to play it. Or, like, to pay to... get it to play it. Stray, I was talking about getting it for the longest time, and I was like, yeah. And then I forgot about it, because when I was gonna buy it, I entered college, where I didn't stream for, like, 2 months continuously. But again, October, like, literally slapped me across the face. I just wanted to came out because I was a really little spoiled. Hey, I have a whole week next week, so there might be just a random Stray gameplay. And if anyone spoils the game for me, you're catching my fucking hand. I will physically fight God for that shit. Focus mode intensifies. No, give me the last one, please. Thank you. I don't want to be stuck. There's mods that allow you to have different cat variations. Sorry, the music in this is fucking bop. Alright, it's like, I know more is gonna come up soon. She has a little cactus. Ah, yes, our graduation diploma. Lamp. Portfolio. Pens. More pens. More pens. Or those are markers. Headphones. So it's been 3 months since Stray came out. Holy shit. No, because someone told me, or someone just casually mentioned to me because we were looking. My week stream was 4 months ago. My week fucking stream was 4 months ago. Huh? You're lying. I'm not. I then proceeded then to go check my thing. I like checked my page. And I straight up, it was 4 months ago. And that made me lose my shit. I was like, no, it was not 4 months. A whale. Whale number 2. Feels like yesterday. I was like, I knew it's been a long, like, it was a long period of time. I just did not think it was 4 fucking months. God, we have so many fucking sketchbooks. Which is normal, because they're literally they're like a fucking... Oh, she got her business cards! But yeah, I like look back, I'm like, wow. That happened. Doesn't feel like it happened, but it did. Okay. And then I had an existential crisis. Yeah, there goes a lot of land. I still have to fix this room. Actually, it might be in the kitchen. Bowl number 1. We still have the fucking cookie jar. That is adorable. Heart magnet. Aw. Toaster. Oh. What do you know? I know we play as a cat, and we are in like a sci-fi dystopia. That's really all I know of the game. When I tell you I avoided plagues of that game like the fucking plague, I avoided that game like the fucking plague. I was like, I'm not having this game spoiled for me for shit. So when I play Stray, I'm going in completely fucking blind. Mugs. Knife. I feel like you're supposed to do it on this side. There we go. Slay. It was just one of those things that happened. So many spices. Oh, wait. Nah. Hell yeah. Sound makes brain go fucking burr. I know everything's fucking. Oh my god. What's red in here? I also have to be careful because I know like her partner's coming in. I do know what that is. Oh my god. I love when this game likes to be slightly annoying. I don't care, it's going in the fucking kitchen. Okay. So what is... Okay, so this is like the ideal one. And then we're gonna put the knife, the spoon, and then the spatula in here. Is there any other like very tiny boy? Okay, thank God we can put that in there. And then, actually, there we go. There we go, okay. And then we'll have this as like the cooking, or like the cake drawer. That one area just became the everything. This literally just became the everything table. That's gonna bother me too much. Can I put this in there? No. Well, I mean, that can go up there. Fuck the coffee. Fuck you. Big boy goes in there. The roach spray. The sponges go in there. Toilet paper right above there. There we go. Plates. Miniature plates. Let me just move these over and then. I wasn't kidding, that's literally just the fucking everything. The cups need to go together. Water bottle as well. Cookie jar can go right there. Actually, why'd I put the toaster there? Toaster. I love just unironically finding the fucking achievements just by hitting things. There we go. And then I just have the living room. No, the ducks rule over the house. The ducks get the window. Ducks get the window. The window. No, the mother hen's too fat. Can figure out where the couch goes later. Now we get the Now we get the homosexuality. Because why? Because someone moves in with us! She got plants. She has plants. I love her already. Nah, she has so many fucking plants. That's another book. Another book. blanket. Games. More games. That's an umbrella. Dragon. More books. Books. Yes. Hell yeah. Okay. Sorry, this game just makes me happy for no fucking reason. She has so many games. Our entire shelf is already full. Here we go. Pot. Another pot. We're gonna put that down there for right now. Pot. There we go. Okay. So in here, we're already good. I love how even the game was like, alright, we gotta move some shit. Oh yeah, you can already see she got a new laptop. That is a really pretty dress. Long boy! Nice. Making my life easier. What was that, Chirpy? She has, Damn, I actually really said I want to let you burn incense in this. Oh my god, bitch.
Okay, that's. I'm gonna just show you this note that I'm writing.
Oh god. I thought we were gonna talk about the airplane going over. I'm like, yes, I can hear
It
it.
is so loud.
We're like a 30-minute drive from the airport. Damn. Damn. Shit. Damn. I mean, fuck, you ain't wrong. But yes, we're getting representations that's not shitty in a video game. Now, when I first found out, like, someone, like, mentioned on the, like, oh my gosh, they might, like, it's bisexuality. I'm like, what? I was so confused for, like, the longest time. Because I was like, what do you mean? And then my friend proceeded to show me this, and I was like, oh. 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 Come over, come kiss The docs never made a return. Sad. Oh yeah, she got the fancy boy in. There we go. I'm gonna make this now look nicer since this is here. Oh, she has 2 awards. It like moved it. It's like, put that shit back. Alright. It moved my spices. Oh, there's an actual like spice rack now. Sorry, my brain just kind of goes burr. See, that's some gay shit right there. Okay. I'm just in my bathroom. Yep. Plant. There we go. Sorry, that itched just scratching my brain. I went so quiet, but that just itched. You can hear her craving attention. That sound makes my fucking brain go burr. Oh. I was seeing this because you can just see how my brain goes. Also, noises makes my brain really happy. The fucking dilemma with the leggings. last level! Hopefully. Yeah, no, I was like, wait. Yeah, okay, yeah, this is the last level. Let's go to the closet first. The Dean shirt's the only shirt that gets the privilege of being hanged. You one of them queers. I just love how, like, a lot of the stuff just, like, stays. Y'all are sharing each other's socks now. That's the rainbow socks. Single sketchbook. Perfume. I also do like how, like, certain things throughout this game just, like, stay, like, the constant, like, some of the same clothes stay. Even if I don't want it to. Oh my god, not this dress again being the absolute devil for me. Okay, damn. Okay, you get your own space. backpack. There we go. Oh my god. Good sir, you don't have any more hanger space, please. Yeah, this is luggage 100%. Get on top of each other. Okay, cool. Okay. Okay. That's not what I meant to do. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I can put it over there. Okay. Okay. Cool. Can fit one more. Thank you. Oh, the board hit my desk or my chair. I was like, what the fuck just fell on me? Oh, that's a neat trick. Okay.
I love Doc's little speech where he like stutters over all his words.
Oh no. There we go. Closet done. Surprisingly, I got through that. Duck one. Oh my god, not the horse. Peter, the horses are here. You must have the duck shelf. That's one of my favorite sounds in game. I'll leave that there for a second. Got its ribbon back. Aggressively shakes it. Oh, we got the books and the baby. What books? Baby clothes. Ball. Towel. Bunny. Shirt. Toy. Hat. That's a cute hat. Shirt.
Okay. Are you sad that I haven't been paying attention to you?
Probably. Actually, let me... There we go. Oh my god.
dwarves save this movie.
Fruit returns. Alright, cool. Aww. Oh my gosh, I love how they still kept the college books.
Ah. I noticed an animation error.
Oh.
In this scene, when Dopey goes to turn around back at the bedroom door, the back part of his cloak doesn't get colored in for a few frames. I caught that.
Ah, yes, the Wi-Fi router. Fuck it, she's ambidextrous and be like me. Oh, I have a cold that turned on. Oh, that's the Handmaid's Tale. gosh. Wait. Damn. Cup shelf. Cup shelf. Cup shelf. Fuck the tea. Yes.
Not Grumpy saying she's a female.
Not surprised. Not surprised in the fucking lightest.
Oh my god.
Was it this bathroom? No, this bathroom has toilet paper. So it's our bathroom that doesn't have toilet paper. I completely skipped our bathroom. Holy shit.
Ugh. Holy cow. I was not expecting that. I did not remember that at all. I guess the headphones helps.
I'll make your makeup shelf in a hot second. I have to pee.
Again?
Yeah, I just drank the whole thing of water.
Oh.
Damn, why are you questioning my bladder? Fuck!
voice acting. I'm so sad. She did such a good job.
I also think that she was like okay with it. She was like, I would much rather be iconic for this one role than be known for like multiple different roles.
I still wish I knew her name. Princess. Did she like say it?
Yep.
Yeah,
She's
good for her.
She's done interviews.
This is what I had to say about the female
Yeah, she did an interview like a long time where it's basically where she was like, I forgot what she said. I'm still not getting over the fact that they gave us a fucking sweet tea for free. Oh my god, she has so much like stuff that I can fill this entire shelves with literally just like her face stuff. I love how you can tell something interests me. Hello, baby. Now you let me step. Now you let me put the tampons on top of each other. Nice. There we go. There we go. There we go. Soap. Soap. Sponge. Back a sponge. Cup. Spice. More spices. Your Honor, they're so gay. The spice rack returns. Toilet paper. Ooh, knives. Knives.
I really don't like how Snow White is babying the dwarves. It feels weird.
Makes sense for the time where because again, she's been isolated most of her life, so she probably doesn't know how to interact, and she sees these small people.
I guess it just rubs me the wrong way because I don't like feeling babied. Because she acknowledges that they're not children and that they are men, but she still treats them like they're little kids.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just something that rubs me the wrong way.
But it's also trauma.
I may or may not include that in the video depending on the research I do.
We're just gonna find out how terribly abused fucking Snow White was. Which again, would I be surprised? No.
Stop it, Grumpy! Stop it! I didn't remember him being misogynistic. I remember that. Him saying, huh, women. Grumpy, no, stop it!
Oh, perfect. Perfect, perfect, perfect. This is all going according to plan.
God, I'm so scared to find out what Snow White's age is.
14.
Oh!
She's the youngest too.
It's so gross.
Sorry.
Oh wait, I'm about to look something up.
The deep concentration I am in. Cool, give me another fucking kitchen item after I've already did it. Oh, okay, these are all the ones. Okay, there we go. No, let me do the thing. Oh, there we go. Actually, I'm just now thinking these might be. Oh yeah, they're Wii games. It took me a second, but you can see the icon. Alright, cool. Cat. Okay, yeah, that I know. Are you kidding me? Oh, fuck off. Really? I don't care, give me a second. There we go. And I was like, I'm pretty sure it's supposed to go anywhere else but there. There we go. What else?
Oh, I did not realize what time it was.
Yeah, no, I was like, damn, it's 9:30.
No, it's not.
Oh, it's 10. Oh my god. What the fuck?
I mean, I've been timestamping everything, so if you need to go to the like
No.
right
No, you're good. Fucking Febreze bottle of death. No, literally, I'm already done. This is literally like the last level. Close the game, right? I just got really quiet while doing it.
The moving truck pulls up. There's a knock on the door. Now all your stuff is here.
It's funny, the creative director is named Ren Bree.
You open up a box.
And I played this before I considered changing my name.
To do. I open up my heart. This is now a home for two. Your houseplant brightens up the dreary windowsill. Your blanket keeps us warm in the evening chill. We pull your favorite mug out of the packing foam, stick magnets on the fridge, and we make this house a home. You put our photo on the shelf. I smile to myself. You cut the tape with my Stanley knife, and
I'm sorry. If you're calling yourself a flop, I don't know what the fuck I am then.
we unpack your life. Slowly, slowly, our things combine. Your favorite stuffed toy right next to mine.
This song's also really pretty.
Prized possessions in a prime location on the bedroom shelf. I smile to myself. You cut the tape with my Stanley knife, and we unpack our life. We unpack our life. I smile to myself. You cut the tape with my Stanley
god, that is a gay ass photo I've ever seen. A gay ass photo. Yeah, I also love how this is based off her life. Alright, cool. Who the fuck's live? This is such a cool ass game. It's a cozy ass game that has replay value. Oh my god, this is the fucking coffee one. Rediscovering childhood, hat on the head. Oh fuck, that's where you put the hat on the. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But who is live? Who can I go bother at a time like this? Oh my god, someone's doing Drunk Among Us. Absolutely. That's actually, never mind. If they have followers sub only, I'm not gonna do that. That flashing hurt my eyes. Someone's doing Dark Secrets. Everyone go spill your deep dark secrets. Why not? Alright. There we go. I'll be back tomorrow. We're gonna do a Tipple stream 3 in a row. Oh my gosh, I haven't done that in fucking forever. I'll be pulling for Child. And possibly Yamiko's weapon. We'll see how this goes. Yeah. I will see you tomorrow. Bye!